traditional, and if you're watching the NBA playoffs, you notice that the Lawson Gardens has quite a few of these little banners hanging up. We'd like to present the school with this banner signifying our championship.
Two other items of unfinished business from last term. First of all, for the rifles team, I'd like to call on Mr. Myron Capri, please, to make the presentations to the rifles team. As you may know, rifles is a second term sport, but we usually give out the awards in third term because some of the results from the Dominion finals don't come in until third term. This was a rather unusual year. We fielded two very fine and very competitive teams. The firsts managed to place in the Ontario finals, but never reached the finals due to my own personal circumstances. I wasn't here in February, as many of you know, and in January I wasn't able to devote as much time to the team as I would have liked. Nevertheless, I'd just like to say that all the members of both teams showed tremendous sportsmanship at a time of, I think, great disappointment to them, and I want to thank them very much for their understanding. On a brighter note, we're going to lose this year one student that we discovered in grade 9 who had a tremendous aptitude for this particular sport. He stayed with us religiously until grade 13. He is the captain of the team, Barrick Farmer. This year, for the first time, he managed to score 10 targets in the course of his career here, over 97%. And I think I'm correct in saying that this is the second time only in the history of shooting at the school where a student has won the Royal Canadian Army Cadet Award of Distinguished Marksman. And I'd like Barrick to come forward and to accept this very coveted award on behalf of myself, Mr. Jakes, and the other team members, and also MVP for the year. We also have a trophy that's given out each year for shooting in the school. It's the SAC shooting trophy, which I think many of you have seen in the display cases. It's given to the student who in the school gets the highest single score on a single target in the course of the year. And that again is awarded, I think, for the second time in his career here to Barrick Farmer with a score of 97%. Finally, the MIP for the first team is Marty Bowen. I'd ask him to come forward, please, and to accept that position.
To put some pressure on the second team group, and they went back and successfully defended it. This made it unbelievably hard for the third closely that a reappraisal changed the standings. It turned out that, in fact, we had come first. And we're happy belatedly to rejoice on behalf then of the three boys who brought that honor to us. They are Scott Brick, and Sean Nazarelli, and Steve Rothstein. Gentlemen, if you'd come forward, please. Congratulations.
You see,
against the schools during the year are really tune-up matches. The best team is determined by the tennis tournament, which is usually played at the end of the season. I'm proud to say that of the 8 teams that we played that qualified to play in the tournament, St. Andrews won the silver medal. Of all the players there, only one managed to go through all his matches undefeated. For that reason, plus the fact that he was the #1 seed on our team, the Most Valuable Player Award goes to Jeremy Schofield. Steady, very skilled player who no doubt will make his impact next year, Derek Sobline. Tennis is certainly the greatest sport in the school here. You look at the numbers playing. We had 50 guys turn out for senior tennis. There was another 20 or 30 with Mr. Paolini. I tried to cut some of the 50 to get it down to size. They kept coming back again. I look at the guys on the officer hockey team, and of course they're all tennis players, nearly all. The golf team, Mr. Ackerman's pride and joy. They're guys who couldn't make the tennis team, but they've tried in the past. The cricketers are all tennis players, even some rugby players are great tennis players. We have a game here which goes on through the summer. I would be ready to bet that half the school plays tennis in the next 2 or 3 months here. We won a roller coaster this term, like Wonderland. We started off with all these numbers turning out. We went to an early bird tournament. We beat Crescent, the league champions there. We lost 2 matches out of 15. We cleaned up. And then we got going the season, and some matches were cancelled, and some were rained out, and we weren't doing so well. We went down to Appleby. We even lost to Appleby. I've never known us lose to Appleby before, but we made it this year. But that trip wasn't a total loss. We had an astonishing ride back. We were in a minibus, and to protect the innocent, I should call the driver Chuck. And Chuck had been to the Young Drivers School of Offensive Driving. Chuck believed that driving on highway, you got points for changing lanes the most times. Chuck believed that if you could get a 22-wheeler to beep at you for cutting him off, that was another point. Chuck was willing to drive anywhere. Coming back after this disastrous loss, we stopped at the lights in King City, and alongside came a gardening truck with 3 guys in the front row. It was not Mr. Wilkie and his gang. And Chuck wound down the window and said, "I'll drag you for $5. You're off." And so there we are at the lights of Morgan's Inn in King City, going east, and away we go, blazing down the highway. The kids are coming out of King City High School. We took out some couple of them, and we got $5. Coming up Bathurst then, we lost a mirror at Wellington, so Chuck got out to go and talk to the driver behind who'd been hit by this flying mirror. But Chuck forgot to put the vehicle in park before we... So going down the hill of Bathurst, we're going across Wellington with all the other traffic going this way. rugby, the team is trained in reflex action. Michael Ross stepped forward, put his foot on the brake, and we were saved. Chuck came back into the wagon, said, "Oh, I put it in park, didn't you see?" and promptly went off through the red light, dodging. When we got home, safely somehow, you should have seen the tennis team rolling on the grass, leaping around, touching down, safe. No, I don't want to ride home, I'll walk home. We didn't quite do justice to the under-16 team this year. I'm sorry, we will next year. Or the second team, we had a lot of players and got the best results from them in the final tournament. But in the final tournament, and I'm finishing now because I know Mr. Kitchen only gave me half an hour. In the final tournament, we played supremely well. I think we had a team strong enough in most years to win it. We gained the silver medal. We lost deservedly on the day to Upper Canada, who were very strong. But our guys played tremendous tennis on that final day. I would like to us to understand maybe the first tennis guys, Dave Drevin, the team is always interesting with Drevin aboard there. Walker Ross, would you stand up? I think I saw some of you somewhere. Mike Ross and Chris Kelly. No one's going to stand up. Chris Kelly was appointed MIP, please, Chris, by his fellows on the team. Come up, please. Ben Wu, Ron Reardon, and particularly the guy on my right here who played hurt on the hockey season, lost to one or two guys surprisingly early on, came back and beat him up on the final day, a very tough competitor, MVP Corianti.
Could we please have the kayaking coach, Mr. Rothbaum? Scheduled that the boys gave up their weekends to participate in Ontario meets and Wednesdays to participate in ISL meets. Initially at the start of the season, we were towards the bottom end of the heap, but by the end of the season, in the Ontario meets, out of 50 paddlers, we had boys placing 8th and 9th respectively. In the ISL final, these three were again near the top 5 in the ISL final, and the three also won the silver medal for the first team slalom event. I would like to call up the second team. MVP for the season is Ed Seagram, chosen by his teammates, and Blair Scarlett is the MIP. With those words. For the first team, the MIP this year is our grade 8 paddler, Brad McRae. And an honorable mention to Tim Stumple, but the MVP award this year goes to the captain of the team, Jeff Rees. Also a special note, which is a feather in the cap of the school as well. Thank you. Just 2 teams to go. First of all, I'd like to call the track coaches. First of all, Mr. Grenier with the under 15.
Just a brief word. I'd like to thank very much Mr. Grenier for coming to assist. The challenge that was presented to us, every competitive event that we could win to the track, I think that you were still very well represented by the members of the track and field team. The feather in the cap for track and field, of course, is to get to the Ontario finals, where the very best competition is met. And the fellows that were there this year did a commendable job. The competition each year gets very tough. I think our best performer this year was Nick Sioris in 1500 and 3000. He met some really top runners. He still appreciates the competition, I'm sure, and he still did a terrific job in battling those other runners. Mark Major in the midget high jump, I think the very first year tops the finals. In both Mark in the discus and Chris in the shot put. The honorable mentions I'd like to give are to Rob Devitt and Andrew Proudfoot at the under 17 level. I didn't see very many of the track fellows very much because I, unlike Mr. Fraser last year, didn't have very much time to spend on the track with these fellows, but I certainly do commend them on their training. The
last team awards are to be presented by Mr. Ackerman to the golf team.
I'm getting a little disgusted with the attitude of some people about golf. Picture what a good athlete you have to be to go through the following. Trudging up and down hills, across vast plains. In the boiling sun, the pouring rain, carrying a heavy bag over your shoulders, swinging a big iron club. Now tell me, do you have to be an athlete to do that or not? I thought you'd say. We had a derby. So 2 golf tournaments were canceled because they couldn't get enough players. But we did participate in 3 events. In the first one, we went and won it over at anyway, we won. In the second game, or match, which was our turn, we lost it this year. We've held it for quite a few years now, but this year we lost it placing second. And then we played in the regional finals here, and as far as I can tell, we ended up second again. But we haven't got the official communication yet. We have an MVP picked by me, not his teammates. And he was the low scorer in all of our matches, and the only holdover from last year.
Thank you very much, Coach. There are a number of special